This is Gemstones and Whiskey, an Outlander podcast. I'm Ashley Alexandra.
And I'm Reena Ezra.
And this is episode 8.
Both sides now. We are playing it after the intro credits now. Well, I always forget to mute it, but it's nice. Right? It's nice to hear the music.
It sets the mood.
Yeah, exactly. just the classical instruments. Not when anybody speaks.
Are you good at reading maps, Reena?
Sometimes. That's my answer.
Okay.
Sometimes. Yeah, I think I am getting better at it just because I've had to, through experience, like if I'm in the city and my Gmaps is having a real difficulty because all of those, everyone else has their Wi-Fi and data on.
Right.
And it's like getting really confused and I'm like, all right, now I gotta just know what stream I'm on and I gotta follow it. Yeah, basically when you just can't rely on technology, you gotta go old school. I think it's a very important skill that many people should know. But no, not an actual, like, atlas or those big paper maps you have to roll out if you're on a road trip.
Yeah, and you are here, get here.
I mean, I know how to do it in amusement parks. Can't be that different. I could be quite solid. Have I ultimately failed? Sure.
Right.
That's happened.
I see.
Where I'm like, this is not the bridge.
Yeah.
The lake's that way, or
right.
what that's referencing, but yeah. What about you?
I'm pretty good at it.
That's great.
I'm not great at backtracking, though. So I can get to a place, and
so, like,
one would think that, like, leaving that place to go back the way you came would be an easy...
Just the opposite of
easier task, and it is a whole separate journey.
So how are you when you, like, hike in the woods?
You already lost.
So if you went, like, hiking in the woods and you, like, you wouldn't be able to find your trail back, like, you know, the markers on the trees, like, how are you with that?
But see, that's, like, I don't have a real map. That's, like, you have to pay attention to random lines.
Spatial awareness. That
I don't have it.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Got you. That's where we're getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got many other great
I'm not
qualities.
upset about it. Maybe that's why I don't hike. I'm going to use that from now on. I'm afraid I'm going to get lost.
It's a very real thing, especially if you go later in the afternoon it is not summer and it gets dark quick.
No.
And you're like, oh.
And you're like, a tree's a tree is a tree.
You make the same loop a bunch of times.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Huber Woods, I don't remember what town that was in, but Jordan and I definitely got lost and we just walked like 7 miles around like the entire, we like went everywhere. And it's like delightful in that relationship where like it's that moment where like, wow, you didn't get like upset with each other. Like nobody got angry. Everything was just like, you're like, yeah, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And Frank here is also trying to figure something out.
Great segue.
Because thank you. We are, what would you say this is
We're in the 40s.
Policeman station?
Yes, the policeman station.
There are no women here. I don't see any.
He's speaking with the detective, I guess, who's working on the case of his missing wife.
Yes. We see the flyer on the board and her...
The detective's like, man, maybe she is not missing. Maybe she is gone by choice, perhaps with another man.
Like, left you. And also, there's a flyer of a drawing they have of somebody that looks like Jamie, and they have £1,000 is the award if he's found.
Because remember, if you recall, Frank, when he was walking back to the inn that he and Claire were staying at, he saw some man looking up at her in the window, who very quickly disappeared.
Yes.
And so he's given that description to the police, and Frank was very, he clearly like reacted strongly to the detective and was like, my wife would not have left me. Like, keep looking.
And then here she is.
And here she is with Jamie, a beautiful picnic on the cliffs of Scotland.
Having an entirely exploring a new relationship.
And he's like, does it always feel like this? Like, what a romantic thing to say.
When you touch each other.
And she's like, No, not exactly.
I must say, though, Frank does have just go back to Frank, he obviously has a very logical explanation for thinking of things. Like, if a relative or partner, somebody I had went missing, and then I saw this mysterious person, I'd be like, oh my god, is there a connection? Did you kidnap my person? So, also, I was just saying that.
I think he's good.
I'm sorry, are they doing it? I totally
no. They were making hand love, and then some arrows. No, they will be soon though.
I was like, are they really literally just doing it right here in a picnic?
They have a nice charcuterie spread.
More like bread and I don't know what that is.
I mean, that's a charcuterie board.
Yeah, no.
Bread and here is Jamie's friend. He's
gonna introduce him in a second. I don't remember
to be a real traveler, and he's using some signs because he does not. Well, we'll find out in a second why he's using signs instead of speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so weird now that Jamie introduces Claire as his wife.
Yeah, that's like first time hearing him be like, "This is my wife,"
saying the big W word.
Oh, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, this guy's bringing some news, which is I don't know. I kind of like this dude. I just like how he arrived. I like how he looks.
Yeah, I am upset I can't remember what his name is. I thought they were gonna say it.
I thought so too.
I want to keep saying Harix, but it's not. That's someone else.
Oh, and he brought them a wedding gift. I'm not sure if they're gonna. Maybe they'll go into how he got this. It's a dragonfly fossil.
It's in amber. Hugh Monroe
it's in a stone.
is his name.
What's his name? Of course.
Hugh Monroe.
Oh, Hugh Monroe. Got you.
And Jamie's pointing out that he has these like tags on him, which are essentially from the different parishes, and so it like allows him to essentially like busk for money or food or whatever in those areas. But he's essentially Jamie's telling Claire that he uses sign because he doesn't have a tongue because some pirates cut it out of his mouth cavity.
That's just a very real thing for that man.
Yeah, that is. He got burning oil poured on his legs. They tortured him. But look, he has overcome. And I really like his scarf. He has a good...
He does have a very good
rustic,
scarf.
like, fringe scarf.
Yeah, I like the...
His outfit is very in right now. The hat, he has like a shag cloak.
Yeah, this is top fashion. That would be on Making the Cut.
Yeah.
Or the runway. This is something that they would be like, oh, it's, like from the Scottish roots, but it's now kind of turned modern.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, essentially, Hugh is telling Jamie that he knows of a redcoat that... well, let's go back. So Jamie has this price on his head, and it's essentially because the redcoats the British are claiming that he shot one of their soldiers on his way out of captivity after he was whipped by Blackjack Randall. And Hartz is saying, hey, I know of a British deserter who really shot that soldier. And like just want to let you know in case you want to kind of delve into this further, and maybe that's useful information.
Because he wants the price lifted from his head.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to run this whole time. Now he has a wife. What if he wants to settle down?
He's thinking about things differently.
He totally is.
The future is now in the present. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think
quite literally.
Ooh, nice one. And I do think her present is now becoming, or her present in the 1940s with Frank is becoming her past. And we're just moving farther and farther from that.
Yes.
So it's also just very interesting to see. It's just crazy that, like, and she's wearing both her rings, so every time she looks at her hands, she's just like, oh, I'm so,
That was an awesome cut right there.
They do have very nice editing cuts here. But she has, like, she's still, you know, struggling with the transition, but it's just like when you meet somebody, or if, you know, she stumbles into love, it changes your plan entirely. She's probably going to do things she doesn't expect. She's having feelings she didn't, like, everything's surprising her. She didn't, you know, I don't know if it's like, it's kind of half and half now, where it's still she wants to do what she can to survive, but also she's making choices out of want and not just need now, because she does have an attachment to Jamie.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, just how it blossoms over time.
Yes. And Frank is now checking back in with his reverend friend, trying to continue to theorize what might have happened to Claire and what if she fell into the river. And he's pulling up maps, and he's like, well, here's where maybe she would end up having washed ashore. And there's a cute little boy named Roger.
Roger Wakefield.
Who is kind of the Reverend's son.
Yes.
He adopted Roger.
Yep.
And raised him as his own.
And we were definitely going to revisit
Yeah,
that character in some time. But it is, I didn't notice, maybe, I don't think I really paid attention to this the first time, but the way Frank looked at Roger, where it's just like, darn it, yeah, kind of like, what's going on in his head? He probably wanted a family with Claire. Like, he probably didn't think he was going to be looking for a missing wife at this point. And while they were on vacation. So, yeah, it's also really, there's an interesting shot here, if you guys watch the episode, where he's, like, looking at himself in the mirror, and anytime he's, like, distraught, it just totally reminds me of Blackjack now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
so,
very...
Of course, he ends up in a bar. Where do you go when you're sad and distraught? A bar, and there's a woman who sits down next to him and is like, hey, I have some information you might want. And he's like, tell me more.
Yeah, I was already, I was just like, who is this? I don't know. She comes to the bar, she says her name's Sally.
Well, she says, you can call me Sally.
Oh, I thought she said her name was Sally.
Very cryptic, and she pulls out the picture of the sketch that Frank described to the police in terms of a suspect in Claire's missing persons case. And she's like, I have information for you. She's like, meet me in front of the cobbler shop.
Classic.
I mean, classic meeting point. And Frank is clearly so desperate at this point. He's like, is she alive? Like, what is the deal? And this Sally woman's like, I'm not saying anything else. Meet me at the cobbler shop. I haven't said I in like 10 years.
Well,
should have left it in the past.
You did. I don't know. You could say
I. Well, alright.
Alright, I alright.
Back to
camping.
Camp in Scotland. They're all drinking, hanging out.
And Dougal just looks miserable as usual.
As always. Rupert's telling a story.
Drunk as usual.
He's got the most personality of them all.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie and Claire are like on their own, looking at each other real close up because they're in love.
And still feeling each other's hands.
Yeah, because there's something
they're
different.
so in love. Oh my god, it's kind of making me sick. Just kidding. It's not that much intensity. Oh my god, they're already talking about Christmas. This is crazy. When you're that, when you just start dating somebody and you're like, now you're planning an entire future and what you're gonna how do you spend the holidays with each other.
But like that's how you know someone likes you, when they're like talking about Christmas with you, because also like that's a big holiday for people who celebrate.
I'm a Jew and it's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It's like the season is big.
Yes.
It's a season of giving.
Yes.
It's a season of family.
They put stuff in the stores before even Halloween. Sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Where they are commercializing for stuff for Christmas before Halloween.
Whatever. Whatever makes people happy, whatever brings people joy.
I agree.
Fine. I don't care.
Same with like them doing pumpkin.
I'm not gonna
stuff. At the end of August.
And I enjoy my pumpkin stuff at the end of August. It brings me joy. It ushers in the new season, and I like it. And so the horses were freaking out a little bit, and they're all kind of exchanging looks. And Rupert's like continuing to tell his story like nothing's wrong, and Claire's like, what is happening? And they're getting ambushed. Mm-hmm. It's a good old-fashioned ambush. Yeah.
People climbing on their wagons, trying to get their supplies, and they're like, Claire, hide! And she goes behind this bush. She's like, I'm just gonna go over here. Going for the grains and the horses. Yeah, that's also crazy. You can't even get everything. Every single thing they do, you have to, like, be afraid for your life. Or at least know how to physically defend yourself.
Right.
Because that is the biggest threat.
Yeah. Well, and again, don't forget, like, they have all this stuff from collecting the rent from all the different parts of the territory. So, like, they're stocked with animals, with money.
So they're like they're
a prime
target.
Yeah, prime target. And Ned Gowan whips out his gun and fires it in the air, not at a person. Pew, pew, pew. And the ambush group runs for it.
That's what pistols back then sounded like.
Yeah.
Pew, pew.
Yeah.
The same. They sound exactly the same.
For Star Wars. Second, I got really nervous because I thought perhaps you had shot off a real gun in here.
I know. I can understand the confusion, but yeah, no. Settle your horses. Easy. Take it. I would never put us in danger like that. Not inside the house.
And there they are, laughing, having a good time, because they're a bunch of crazy
barbarians.
Yeah, testosterone-filled
manic men.
They're like, we enjoy a good fight. Claire's like, okay.
And she's like, hug me, Jimmy.
I was just hiding, but that's fine.
Yeah, this happens all the time.
And back to Frank walking in the rain outside the cobbler shop at 12:30, meeting Call Me Sally. And she's like, all right, come down this creepy alleyway. We'll definitely have more information about your wife down here that I can't say on this abandoned street.
Yeah, for real. There's just so many signs.
And she starts backing away. And Frank gets punched.
Like, you saw that coming, right? Like, this did not surprise you.
So he starts getting attacked by two men, and unfortunately it's their unlucky day, because, he's like a trained soldier, spy
Whoops their
person.
Butt.
And, he kicks the snot out of him. And the woman, Sally, is like, stop!
You quiet there,
You're
Sally.
gonna kill him! And it's like, yeah, well...
Yeah, well, you asked for this, Sally.
Now, this is very interesting, because Frank was essentially, like, thoroughly beating this man who was already down and not moving, and now is choking Sally out.
Yes.
And that is not the Frank we've, come to know.
This is the most aggression.
Some of us love.
Yeah. This is some of us love. It's the most violence we've seen from Frank.
Yeah, and like a true deep, like, anger.
Yes. Yeah.
behind that.
Well, it's a combination, right? He's exhausted. He's upset. He's, devastated. He's angry. He's been looking for his wife forever. He doesn't know what happened to her, so the unknown is totally out there because he has no logical explanation to certain things. And he's just... And then they just mess around with him. He doesn't got time for that.
Yeah.
He's trying to do this thing, and they're literally just trying to... They were going to beat him up and just try and take his money or take whatever award or, just rob him.
But to be fair, he did, almost kill that guy. Actually...
I didn't feel bad.
Beat him to death. I'm not necessarily saying I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
I'm saying, that is a next level thing. I don't think it's just a man at the end of his rope.
You think it's genetic? Do you think it is down the Randall family line in their bloodstream that they're all, right,
I think it's
psychopathy or something is psychological, they have him mental... He
has something a little darker inside him that in that moment could have been a learning moment for him, a realization. I mean, he then went to the Reverend and, said,
confessed his sins.
Yo, what's the deal? I went crazy and, and the Reverend's listen, other people do worse things.
Yeah.
And they give into it longer. You made the choice to stop, which is, saying something.
Which is an important, difference they had to establish between Jack and Blackjack.
Yeah.
Jack.
Frank
and Blackjack Randall.
And Jack Black Randall.
Yeah, to show that, okay, the bad guy goes to this lengths and he doesn't, have remorse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stop himself, censors up. He doesn't change his ways, he doesn't reflect on it, whatever, and then Frank is just, immediately felt ill about that afterward, and, so I think that was nice that they put that in there for sure.
Yeah, I think a really important moment.
But I think it's also cool because you're oh, yeah, if Claire's in trouble, Frank could beat the crap out of somebody. It's not just Jamie who's physically defending her.
Yeah, and then...
So that's pretty...
He's
not just a historian.
Right. And even in that moment, it's the first time we've seen Frank like that, but we also don't know, exactly what he was doing during the war either. Clearly he has training, and I'm sure he put it to use.
But Claire was saying, war changes people.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And it morphs into many different ways for every single person's different. And now they're teaching Claire how to defend herself. Yep.
With a knife, specifically.
Have you
ever gotten a knife training?
I have not. Have you?
I got a drunken, 1 a.m. around a fire... knife lesson that I didn't sign up for.
This is a great setup.
What I know,
where you jab down,
is to hold it facing away.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't hold the knife facing toward you.
No, sorry. Okay, instead of the blade coming out by your thumb, the blade should come out by your pinky.
Got you.
Because you have more control that way.
Oh.
And it should be facing your elbow, the sharp point of the blade.
And you're going horizontally instead of vertically with your arm, and you know how people jabbing down,
you can do anything with it
as
that
long
way.
as you hold
it's just
it
that you
way.
have more control.
Oh, got you.
And it can't be turned on you because they can't.
You're right.
Yeah. That's all I remember.
Cool.
I think those are real lessons, so if anyone wants to put it to the test, let us know.
And then around a fire. And then
anyway, Claire's learning.
How big was the knife?
No, a tiny little.
It was small.
Yeah,
it was like a little dagger.
Keep it on you,
Oh, okay. Has
just
a little
in
pocket.
Case, JIC.
Got you.
I
think it's important that they teach you self-defense.
Yeah, I would love to take a self-defense class.
It's hella important. It was important back then, and it's still important now.
Yeah, because again, there are ways you can leverage your own strength or whatever.
Yes.
That you wouldn't instinctively know.
Yeah. Yes.
I wouldn't.
To that point, because being for me personally, 5 feet, I am definitely curious as okay, how where should I thrust my weight, like,
Yeah.
as a short person, and you're going against somebody who's the same size, who's much bigger and taller, who's what is the most efficient way, an effective way to,
Something I heard somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not citing my sources. Okay.
Okay.
Is that something you can, if you get the opportunity, go for the pinky finger. I mean, there's other things too, like go for the soft spots, whatever, like throat, eyes, groin, that kind of stuff. Solar plexus. But I mean, Miss Congeniality taught me everything I needed to know.
Good source.
Anyway,
good source.
no, but also if the pinky, your body naturally follows where your pinky goes, your pinky finger, and so if you pull that, the person's body will follow, or you'll break the finger, and then that'll be, that'll cause some discomfort.
Ooh.
Okay, so Claire
Steaminess is going up.
Are going at it on a beautiful sun-kissed field area.
Yes, I love it. I love it that they're doing it outside.
Yes.
I love it that it's sunny. I love how passionate it is. I love how they're on grass and not hay.
Yes. Well, because think about it, I think they probably haven't been able to do it since their wedding night because they've just been traveling with a bunch of dudes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is something I would absolutely do.
100%.
Yeah, let's go around these bushes where nobody can see us. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, I mean, especially then, like, no one else is going to be around. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah. Also, when they're both wearing skirts, it's so much quicker. It's so much quicker.
And that thing about no one else being around was incorrect.
Darn it.
Jamie has a gun to his head because there are two what look like British soldiers, but they're actually British deserters.
This fun moment goes sour fast.
Claire
as every moment
has her bodice ripped open.
Oh my god.
And
this guy's already getting horny.
They're getting ready to rape her, so that's a thing. And Jamie is clearly very unhappy that he is helpless in this moment and can't protect Claire.
Yeah, this is, oh my god. This is so uncomfortable. Like, it sucks. It really, like, there's nothing else to say. Like, this scene, it sucks. Just fast forward it, people, if you don't want to watch it. You know, like, because they don't, I mean, like, they do the visual effects, whatever, and, like, yeah, they're now, we're looking at her face because she's tapped out. Like, she's just mentally trying not.
Don't think she's tapped out.
Oh, I forgot she had her dagger on her!
She was thinking,
that's why they taught her. Great job.
Waiting for the right time to do exactly what they just
So that's why she was easing and relaxing her body.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's very shaken up and tense in that moment, but I think it also was her making a decision to protect herself.
It's so fun to revisit these because I forget so much because there's just so much content we just absorb.
And Jamie was able to shoot the other guy, and he, like, picks Claire up. And
oh my god,
she is very much shaken up.
And now in their relationship, this is a moment they have to work through together.
Yes.
So it's just like now you're seeing each other's reactions. Now you're seeing the emotional state the other one's in, and how can you be there for the other one? What should you, or what can you do? Can you not do? That's why their relationship is just unmatched, because they really have already in such a short span of time have been with each other through a lot already.
Yes.
And like
trauma bonding.
Not
necessarily the most healthy, but yes.
It's not, but if you're able to grow with that and not like lean on each other or like on anything in a negative way, to have like see the light through the darkness, it's beautiful.
We're back in the 40s, and Mrs. Graham, who's the Reverend's housekeeper, was basically saying, you know, I'm not going to keep quiet anymore. Like, I've been wanting to share this with Frank, and obviously the Reverend is like, please, he doesn't need like made up fantasies thrown into the mix of his misery at the moment, or turmoil. And she's like, well, I'm gonna tell him anyway. So she's like, listen, because don't forget, Mrs. Graham was one of the group members that was like doing the ancestral dance at the Stones back when Claire and Frank were both in the 40s, and they were watching it at sunrise. And so she's like, listen, the Stones, there are legends that the Stones have magical powers, and if people touch them, they travel in time. And I just need you to know that. I understand it sounds crazy, but
she does say your wife did just vanish.
Yeah.
And I you know, and she's just like, this is the only other explanation I can give you.
Yeah, and I think, listen, like, to the average person, that's going to sound crazy. Sure. But to someone whose family line, like, really believes in the magic of that and the, you know, what's legend to other people is more historical to them. Like,
for sure.
To her, she's like, yeah, all the things that don't make sense about the other theories of what happened to your wife make sense when you apply it to this, like, you apply this theory to the situation.
Yeah, and I'm sure he has such a headache.
And again,
he's like, I have to process all this.
Frank is very cerebral and, like,
very practical man.
Yeah, so, you know, he's
facts, like, only historical facts. He only believes in
and I think what he said too is, like, he's like, I heard you. He's like, I simply just don't believe you. And
so that was another cool thing, is he didn't dismiss her. Yeah.
And he didn't say that's crazy, right?
Like, he didn't undermine her. Yes, exactly. He's just like, I'm just not on the same page.
Yeah. He's like, that is a way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
So we're back to Claire and Jamie. Claire's hands are stained with blood. She is certainly not okay. Jamie is feeling extremely, like, guilty and angry that he, you know, couldn't do anything in the moment, and that Claire had to do something like that. And Claire is very much in shock and disassociating a bit.
Yeah. And now the clan just caught up with them because they heard a gunfire shot. I mean, what was he supposed to do? A gun was at his head. Oh my gosh, poor Claire.
So now the men are all basically getting to it and figuring out, like, what to do with these bodies, because again, they're British soldiers. So they're gonna have to kind of hightail it out of there, because if they get caught having just murdered 2 British soldiers, they're all gonna hang.
Deep doo-doo.
Claire's kind of recounting the moments as she remembers it.
Every time I, like, see a scene or a section like this, though, where they're, like, you know, dead soldiers and they're, like, collecting their weapons, I just think of, like, when you're in a video game and you're, like, on whatever campaign and you're, like, the first player and you have to go and, like, you have to collect stuff and you just take stuff from, you know, like, weapons, maybe they have some biscuits, food.
Sorry, no, keep telling me what they do, 'cause I don't really know.
And, well, anybody else?
Do you normally play that role in a group? Like,
I'm just talking about a video game. No, I would.
Yeah,
if I was like an actual character in, like, The Walking Dead, and I saw, like, a bunch of these, like, dead people or whatever, and, like, I got to the point where I changed myself to not be fazed by it. If they had ammunition, I'd so collect that shit.
Sorry,
I would collect as much as I could carry.
Right. I'm sorry, but I meant when you play. Do you play video games often?
No, not often. I'm talking about back then when I was younger.
Gotcha.
And a lot more of watching my brother play certain campaigns.
I gotcha.
And games of, like, where you have to go on your own self-quest.
All this.
Yeah, I definitely played those games before. But also, he just does it more than me. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like a total video gamer, because I'm definitely not.
No. I'm just curious because I don't know, so I wanted to ask.
So this was just for those people who also think how I think. If you see that scene and you just think about, oh yeah, I gotta collect this stuff, and you get those coins. But anyway, that's not what they're doing here. And they're riding on their horses in the woods.
Yeah,
and they're stopping to stay for a bit.
Well, not exactly. So Claire's like, what's going on? Why are we stopping? And Jamie's like, well, I've decided I'm going to go with the guys to talk to this Horrocks guy. To figure out what he saw and if he can help me in terms of like getting the getting my like innocence back or whatever. And you're gonna stay here with Willie. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, I'll just come with you. And he's like, no, we don't know the deal. Like, it could be dangerous for you. Like, just stay here with Willie. And
what do you think? Do you think she like, would you split up? Would you stay together?
Understand the difficulty of this situation. Like, she's probably still in shock.
Sure.
She has never killed a person before.
And of course, the first time she kills somebody was that situation.
Yeah,
she's
like
being raped. Yeah.
So there's just a lot going on, and I think she probably needed some more emotional support from Jamie. And in Jamie's mind, like, I don't think that. I don't know. I think he probably didn't think about how emotionally shaken up she would be about it. And in his mind, he's like, this is really important. We might not have this opportunity again, and it's my only chance to get my innocence back. And like, I understand after what he just saw her go through, like almost getting raped and then having to kill a man, he's like, I'm not going to take you with me to a situation that I don't know what we're walking into, put you right back in the same thing. So I think it's a difficult situation, and we'll cut back to it in a bit, but now we're seeing Frank, who just drove and
where did he drive to?
Up at Craignadoon.
I knew he was curious.
So what it really looks like is like he had to essentially drive past Craignadoon to get to wherever he was going. But he backed it up. He made the choice. He's going to go to the Stones because what if, right? And also at that point, like, you've explored every other option and nothing's led to finding your wife or finding out where she is. Yes. So, like, why not explore another option?
Exactly, yeah. What does he have to lose? He's already lost her. Like, you've got to... And then this is also so stupid.
Yeah, Willie's like, hey, I have to poop. And Claire's like, all right, we'll go really far away.
Yeah, like, you don't need to. You literally could have went around the corner to, like, all this other tree, and then she walks farther away, and it's like, great, split up, you guys, because we know from Scooby-Doo, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and woods are always safe.
Yeah. We haven't learned time and time again. So she's
so Claire's like reliving.
She's definitely, she can't think straight. Yeah, she has those images probably recurring in her head, and just the feeling, like, the smell, everything.
A bunch of adrenaline in her bloodstream. You don't know what to do with yourself.
She's processing, which so right. Also, critical point right here. She made a pledge we talked about way back when.
Yeah.
She's a nurse. Yeah. She saves lives. She doesn't kill people.
Right. There's a whole other added layer.
Exactly, yeah. Just to remind people again that that's probably going through her head, that it's like she's never had to kill anyone in any wars she served in.
Put in so much effort to save people.
Yes.
That's what
and then she has to make this call to save herself from whatever trauma. Now she's like double trauma, and it's that's a lot.
But as she's wandering, thinking about all of this, suddenly she sees in the distance Craignadoon.
How
and
beautiful. Her
just
and Frank are going here at the same time.
Starts
what a
running. Yeah, it's almost like they wrote it that way. And so they're cutting back and forth between Frank in the present and Claire in the past. Both are running to the stones. Do you think that was a decision that she made to run, or do you think that was almost like instinct, like her body just started running?
I think a little bit of both, because honestly, when you're in a terrifying situation she was just in, you're yearning for security and safety and just a way to go back to home, wherever that is, wherever that comfort is. So I think she was absolutely drawn to this. And after that happening, I'd be like, yeah, screw this. Forget you, Scotland. I don't want to do this again. And I'd probably go immediately to those stones and, like, you know, touch every single one, lick it, rub myself all over it, and be like, send me back. I think it was she's you know, she's open-minded, whatever you have to say about Claire. Like, she definitely gives things a shot. Like, I know she's stubborn and she's definitely set in her ways sometimes, and she can be very, you know, powerful, or is a powerful woman. But sometimes you just, like, you know, enough is enough, and you kind of want an exit. You just want an escape, and you want to be like, all right, I gotta, like... Also, she's walking through the woods, and then what is it? And sometimes you feel like it's set there for you on purpose. You're like, oh, it's right there.
It's a sign.
It's exactly. This is totally a sign. I have to go to it. You know, why else would we were in this area? I had no idea. And I would have you're constantly surrounded by woods. I would have no idea where north, south, west, east is. Yeah. I don't know what direction they're traveling in.
Frank's crying at the stones, calling out to Claire. Aww.
Yeah, he's an ugly crier.
Yeah. Well, I think even for Frank, too, like, what a moment, too, to be like, I'm so desperate that I'm standing in front of a stone, hoping my wife comes back in time, or, like, whatever, you know?
But she hears him. Yeah. On her side.
And she's yelling for him. And that moment there is so brilliant.
Yes.
Like, did he
where he pauses for a second, turns around.
Or, absolutely. Like, it's very unclear, but...
He heard something.
Unclear, I said.
Oops. That was a good one. I thought
that wasn't on purpose.
Oh.
No, it's because this I mean, I did it. I'm so brilliant. I
think he definitely heard... Oh, I hate that. It gets me. It gets me every time.
So Claire was about to put her hands on the stones, and all of a sudden we see the British soldiers must have been nearby and seen her running, and so they grab her.
But they heard each other. They definitely heard each other in the sound waves. And also, the British soldiers, how fast... She was running, and then they just appear. What is this, like Mike Myers on Halloween? Everyone's, like, running away, and he just, like, leisurely walks or drives a car. What is he? He doesn't drive a car. He gets to, like, places quicker than everybody else. This is so crazy. She just got captured. Yeah, but if they, you know, the show would be over.
Yeah, things made sense. Totally.
If they, you know, were supposed to pair up in this episode.
So they were loading her into a carriage, and now we see Claire in the carriage with her wrist tied, and she has no idea where she's going. Wow. To go through all of that.
And now she's so far.
To have this, like, flooding of hope come back as you're running towards the stones, and literally you're, like, 1 inch away. And now
we're going to a very...
1 step forward, 10 steps back.
Yes. And
so is this Fort
William? Mm-hmm. And we're going to a new location where we're going to spend quite some time here.
Not a new person. Unfortunately, we got Blackjack Randall.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Oh, he's so smug. He brings up the wedding ring.
Yeah. Why does he say that? Of course she would have sentimental bone in her body. Why he's like, I doubt you have sentimental.
I think he doesn't think he can trust her. So he's like,
doesn't mean he'd be sentimental.
Yeah, but I think he is like, you're probably just a liar and a whore, and you think you're so much smarter than men.
I mean, she is at times, for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why why she intrigues him. But I think he probably flip-flops between those two things of being intrigued by her, and then also, like...
Yeah, and when she's sitting here in front of Blackjack, she immediately, like switches. She's poised, she's playing this mind game, she's doing whatever, as if, like, whatever trauma she just went through, and her processing or whatever, she turns her game face on when need be. Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, she also had probably quite a long ride to prepare for it. Not that it's easy.
She didn't know she was going to see Blackjack.
No. Maybe she did, though. I wonder if...
because she knew she was going to Fort
like
William,
that
or were you supposed to?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. I don't have an answer for it, but...
Same.
I think also at this point, like... So you got so close to, like, freedom and home and everything that's familiar, and, like, you're ripped back into this new reality. Like, at this point, you have to just kind of be, like, a little emotionally numb and okay, well, this is miserable, and this is now where I'm gonna end up being, like, that you have to look at that as your last chance. That was your last chance to get out, and it didn't work. And
also, what would be running through my mind and probably running through hers is I'm just like, great, now how long is it going to take for Jamie to find me? They don't know where I am. People don't know where I've traveled to or what I've done. Like, that would definitely be the first thing through my... Because it's like, it takes so much time for people to meet up with each other. Nobody's got a cell phone. Nobody knows her location. The silly boy she was hanging out with, what was his name? Who went to take a poop somewhere? Willie. He has no idea. He probably turned back around and he's just like, Claire, you're not here. Like, it's just, now she's isolated and, like, alone and has to face a new thing by herself once again.
But we see her using yet another piece of very important information that Frank had shared with her back in the 40s.
Yeah, this is
about how his
key.
ancestor, Blackjack Randall, had basically this, like, partnership with the Duke of Sangriam. Sangriam? Sangriam?
No, man, I thought it was Sadinburgh or something.
No, it's Sangriam. Man. The Duke. And
look it up.
Literally
Sandringham.
Yes.
Sandringham. Yeah, it's Sandringham.
Sandringham.
Yeah. Sandringham.
And literally, Blackjack spits out his wine when she says it. And look at her. She's, like, all, like, taunting him. Like, I know your big secret, and you don't know how I know. And she essentially is like, well, I am also friends with the Duke, so you shouldn't mess with me, because he'll be very unhappy to hear that. And that might mess up things for you.
And then she has, like, the guts that's...
very cocky.
Yeah. She's, like, touching his... What do you call that? It's
I don't know. Neck protector.
Cloth? Not really long cloth?
Yeah, the neck rag.
Yeah, neck rag. Yeah, let's go.
And so anyway, she's like, don't mess with me because it's going to mess with your protection from the Duke. And we both wouldn't want that now, would we? And
which we know, audience members watching it, that she's bluffing.
Mm-hmm. But does Blackjack know?
I mean, in this moment, no, from when I, like, just talking about this scene, watching it looks like he believed her for a few minutes.
I think he wasn't sure, and so he says, well, something about the Duke's wife, and Claire goes, his wife, and Frank's like, yeah, of course, you know his wife, and she's like, yes, of course I know his wife, and he goes, he doesn't have a wife. Classic. That is a classic trap that you just let people walk in, and he's like, and now I have the upper hand again, you little liar.
She's just like...
Oh, gosh.
You should have seen that coming. And now he takes out rope out of a drawer? Who just keeps some rope in your desk drawer?
Sadist.
It's a good answer, right? Yeah.
Sadist or masochist? I never know which
both.
one's
They
which.
probably both keep rope in
you
their
know
desk drawers.
Yes, you're right.
And I thought a sadist was inflicting pain and suffering on others, and masochist is on yourself. Or receiving it, yeah.
So Claire tried to run, and the soldiers outside Blackjack's door were like,
"You can go, Corporal
sorry.
Hawkins. You know, nothing to see here, young chap."
And
no matter what you hear.
Yeah, no matter what you hear. Love to hear that.
Right, yeah.
When you're trapped in a room with a man.
So fun. This episode is just full of...
It's really enjoyable. It's a lighthearted episode, really.
Oh my god. It's
just all kind of about fun and adventure.
Rainbows, yeah. Like some sparkles.
And Claire is screaming for help. And I don't think it's going to work.
Also, because Fort William is kind of on a little island, or I guess
it's
not on a little island. It's not completely detached
right on the coast
from the hill.
Yeah. So it
but
three sides of it is covered by ocean
and
ragged rocks.
Yes. Exactly. So that's what I was saying. If you like trying to escape this, it's kind of like if you were to escape Alcatraz.
Yeah.
You know.
So Blackjack Randall has a knife, and he's like, "So tell me your name. Tell me all about Dougal Mackenzie and Colum and their, support for the Rising." And he's essentially disrobing her, and now she is standing topless in front of a psychopath.
And she's still looking him in the eyes.
And she says, "You're going to regret this." And that is quite the move. You have nothing left, and you say you're going to regret this? And here we go with another, oh boy. He's getting ready to rape her. We need to put a trigger warning this episode.
Trigger warning, this is it. I mean, unless you're not watching what we're watching.
He finds her little dagger
tucked in her ankle. In her boot.
And he... Oh, that makes me want to, throw up. Well...
Dun, 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 dun.
There's Jamie in the window with a knife. I mean, a gun.
He has the gun aimed directly at Blackjack. He's coming through the window, and I'm not gonna lie, the look on Blackjack's face is pure excitement. It looked like he was so happy to see Jamie.
Yes.
He's just like, he was so impressed. He's like, wow, the window?
Yes, and also this is the first time he's seen Jamie.
In quite a while. It's the last time
getting his kicks.
And that is the end of episode 8.
All right, we got to do some rankings.
Yeah.
The scoring section. So as a reminder, our categories are steaminess, plot, feminine power, costumes and set, and cringe factor. So
steaminess, let's recount. I mean, I feel like every cute moment was just ruined. So that's why when there's some points for steaminess, there's probably more points for cringe. At least when I'm factoring in my head. Like their cute little hand holding with their first picnic.
I think we have to score them separately because you're scoring just the amount of steaminess.
I am, separately. Okay. Yes. So
I mean, think about them separately.
I am. No, I do, agreed. Good point. I'm gonna go probably steaminess for a 3. There's the hand holding with their picnic. There's their time where they had their little sex session, in behind these bushes, whatever. Outside where nobody else was there. Also them just being cute, talking about Christmas by the fire pit and everything. So maybe I'll do, I don't know, I'm trying to decide between 3 or 4. Maybe I'll do 4.
Oh. I gave it a 2.5.
Wow.
Only because I
also
felt
because
like...
he called her his wife. That was also a point.
Yes, these are all good things. Yeah. I just felt like they were just short little bursts.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I loved... And, like, the hand touching, I think, is the best of all of them. Because even the, like, sex in the field, like... That was real short. They did not have nearly enough time.
No, that's so darn it. Now am I too late to change that?
No, I mean whatever you want, but don't let me influence you. It's subjective. It's your
well, I think that's why I was struggling between 3 or 4 because of the length. Exactly what you were talking about, because things were definitely short-lived. It's not like the wedding episode where you definitely had time to have that breathe.
Tens all around, baby.
Love that. All right, I'm knocking mine down to a 3, and it's staying there. Plot. Probably also probably a 4. Yeah, I'm gonna do a 4 because major things that happen to Claire. Obviously, like the positive and negative stuff. But like the other things that now Jamie and Claire like doing together, where Frank is finding out about the tales, goes to the stones. She saw the stones, then she had to go to Fort William, and then getting stuck with Blackjack, and then at the very end, he's here to save her. There was a lot that was happening throughout their travels, and I think made things like shift in many different directions. You think we were going one way and then it would pivot. You think something's going to happen this way and then it would pivot. So I enjoyed that. So
all the same reasons, but I gave it a 3.5.
Cool.
Feminine power. This is tough. I'm torn. I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay, explain.
Because I think there's like an equal amount of her being a victim of circumstance and her doing her absolute best to like deal with that,
yes,
including killing a person.
Yes.
And the way she handled even the conversation with Blackjack Randall. I keep wondering if I'm saying Jack Black. Okay, Blackjack Randall. So I give her props for that, but also, like, she was almost raped twice. She was, like, carted off.
Yeah.
She was, like, meant to, like, stay separate with Willie and, like, you know, all of those things. So I think it kind of cancels each other out.
I would agree with everything you said. I put it at a 3. Just gonna add one other thing in there, that the Reverend's wife finally speaking up and saying, like, no, I gotta tell him about my fairy tales.
That's good, yeah.
That just was
yes,
included.
with her southern accent.
I can't do a Scottish accent. I'm sorry. Cut it out, Reena. No southern.
No, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give that 3. But that was definitely, I was like, way to go. Good job. Costume and set.
Costumes and set, I'm gonna give it like a 1.
I'm giving it a 1.
Nothing like, oh, you know what? I'll give it a 2 for Hugh Monroe's outfit, the scarf and the fringe
You
cape.
spoke highly about that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what did you give it a 1?
1,
okay.
yeah.
And cringe factor, yikes.
Probably a 4.
Okay.
Because the multiple rape incidences, actually, I don't know. I might change it to a 5, because now I'm thinking when Frank had to beat that other guy, and that was a pretty cringe moment for him, reflecting on that, and new for us to watch.
Yeah.
And also, was that everything? What am I missing? Oh, when the guy said his just in the very beginning, that was a little cringe for me, and I felt just really, really bad. But that the guy who did you just say?
Hugh
Monroe. Yeah, that he had his tongue cut out. So I was like, that's not nice.
So what's your?
That stinks. I'll go 5. I'm gonna go 5.
I'm a 5 as well. The attempted rapes, the just anytime Blackjack Randall's on the screen.
Seriously.
Also, like, let's also talk about going from, like, the ecstasy of, like, having sex for the first time in probably a few days since you've married and fallen in love with this other man.
Yep.
And literally 30 seconds in,
flip total.
You might
180
be killed and or raped.
That would definitely add.
That is like a huge. So yeah. All right. So I scored a 6 overall.
Yes, Matt.
And you are also a 6, I think. Let's just go with that. Check our.
I'm a 14. Oh, I'm sorry. I know you're right. I counted 8 because it's episode 8.
Yeah.
I did not.
It's okay.
Good job. I'm glad you're keeping track of this.
Yeah.
Thank you again, guys, for listening.
Yes, and like, subscribe, follow, comment, share, and come on back for episode 9, The Reckoning.